Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for August 4th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Mary. How you doing, Mary?
Taran, I'm going to ask you this one time. Did you eat my muffins?
No, of course not.
I
Why
was
would I do that?
saving it. I had put it out
Never
on
do
the
that.
kitchen table, and when I came back, it was gone. And everyone's denying it, and you're the only person I haven't asked. So
No, that would be totally out of pocket. You know me. If I were to eat a muffin, I would eat the whole muffin, not just half of the muffin.
yeah, that's what they would all say, though, and that's what they would want me to think.
I'm telling you. I think you. I feel like you think it's me. It was not me. I'm a whole muffin eater. I would not be able to neatly cut a muffin in half.
You heard it here first, folks. Taran's a whole muffin eater. Okay.
Exactly. I thought you were gonna say. I have one question. Do you know the Muffin Man?
I was going to, I tossed that around. That was in the plans. And then I forgot. I felt like it would trip out.
Yeah, I did use that in my tweet. So anyway, we're here to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 24 live feeds. It was day 29 in the house, and the Muffin Man came to town. But
yeah,
you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait because you don't even understand what's happening right now. You're thinking, what are they talking about? Why are they talking about muffins? I'm hungry for a muffin. Maybe I need to go get a muffin now. Thanks a lot, Taran and Mary. Well, you're going to have to wait and see because that's going to happen at the end of the update. And in the meantime...
Little spoilers for what you can expect.
In the meantime, there's actually a lot to catch you up on in terms of what's happening strategically in this house. So let's get to it. We, of course, have Nicole and Taylor on the block after Daniel and Nicole decided that she wanted to go up on the block. And with Monty as the HOH. Now, coming into today, day 29, Nicole and Daniel feel pretty good. They think they have the votes to stay, which include Terrence and Kyle. They think their other votes are Alyssa, Jasmine, Indy. And
Daniel,
of course. I was like, wait a minute. And so the blind side is still on at this point in time, coming into day 29. And the plan, though, is for the leftovers to convince Jasmine, Indy, and Alyssa, as well as Terrence, to flip. To vote with them to take Nicole out, because the reality is that Kyle is obviously also going to be voting Nicole out. So if they get Terrence, boom, that's 6. If they get Alyssa, boom, that's 7. Jasmine, that's 8. And then Indy's probably going to be the hardest to convince. That would make 9, and then it would just be Daniel standing by himself. So the plan is to let the women know so that they can be on the right side of the vote this time and not be left in the dark. And that's what we can look forward to here today on day 29.
Yep, it's a lot of conversations, a lot of maneuvering. It's a roller coaster for some people. There were points throughout the day when I'm like, man, is this going to work out for either side? I mean, obviously we know it's not going to work out for Nicole's side because she's counting on a lot of votes she doesn't have. But I was really curious for a while of whether or not Monty and Joseph were actually going to have the conversations they kept saying they were going to have. And I'm looking at my watch like, all right, when are you going to start? Any minute now. And then a couple hours later, they'd be like, yeah, we're going to talk to Terrence at some point. Do it. Do it now.
They really waited as long as possible to make it as difficult to cover this day as possible, because pretty much all, like, this is not usually what happens. Usually, like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that happened overnight, like lots to talk about in the second half of the update. But this update is going to be primarily from like 8 p.m. Big Brother time on. Like everything that happened prior to that is pretty minor. Just a couple of things going on in terms of like actual relevance once the ball really starts rolling. One is that and this may not have any future relevance, but it was kind of interesting. Taylor continuing to talk to Brittany. They've developed a good relationship. They have a sort of unofficial final two at this point. And Taylor said, like, hey, I don't want to, like, continue to bring this sort of thing up, but I am kind of getting a weird feeling. And I just want to ask you, like, did Michael tell you about Postpack before it was exposed? And Brittany was like, yeah, like right before. And Taylor's like, I just, like, I'm not saying anything. Like, I'm not going to go against anyone or anything. I just feel like, do you sometimes just feel like there's more going on? And Brittany was like, I mean, I think Michael's with us. I think, yes, he was keeping that from me. And yes, I do kind of feel a little bit upset that he kept that from me. But, I kept the girls from him. And when I think about, my involvement with the girls, like, I thought I was in with them. And then now I just feel the complete opposite. And I think Michael feels that way now, too. I had a really good conversation with him last night, which is referencing the conversation that she had with Michael, where they talked about Kyle's pitch to essentially pull in Alyssa and kind of go against Monty and Joseph in the coming weeks. Not like directly targeting them, but potentially targeting people like Jasmine, Indy, or Terrence to sort of take away from their numbers. She doesn't say that outright, though, to Taylor. She just says she had a really good conversation with him that she thinks Taylor would like, and says that she thinks that Michael is, like, fully with them now. And Taylor says, okay, yes, I mean, I completely believe that. I like Michael, too. I'm just letting you know that, like, these questions I'm having more toward Michael than they are toward you. And Brittany's like, I mean, yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah, it's something to think about a lot, because in Big Brother, it's very common for people to be in one alliance and leave and splinter off and join another alliance. But when you're not part of an alliance that started at the beginning and lasts through the whole game, it's reasonable that people like Taylor or Brittany would have these worries of, like, am I just another stepping stone in this person's plan? Are they going to go back to a previous alliance? Are they, it's sort of like, not exactly the same as, like, oh, they cheated on me once, they could do it again, but it's more like they cheated on their previous alliance. So will they cheat on their new alliance? Will they go back? And I do think in this scenario that Michael and Kyle are more with Brittany than they are with going back with some post-pack formation. But that being said, I think it's good at least that Taylor is not just thinking herself, but saying out loud to another person her worries, because it makes Brittany realize, hey, I need to talk with Michael, and we need to massage this relationship with Taylor and make sure she still feels comfortable. And it also just has that awareness out there for viewers and for Brittany also, that, like, Taylor is not going to be just sort of blindly following them. Like, she is realizing other things that are happening within the house.
Yes. And again, like, this might be nothing. It might go nowhere, but worth queuing up now in case it does go somewhere. So the rest of the day, again, pretty quiet. There's a lot of talk about, like, all right, so we're going to tell them at some point. And as they're waiting, it's like they have waited so long. They're waiting until the Wednesday night before the eviction. And I would say, like, after the veto ceremony, there was a lot of talk with Jasmine and Alyssa together to each other. What should we do? Who should we vote out? We're not sure. If they had just done it then it would have been much easier, because they wouldn't have already. Basically, what happened is, over the last couple of days, Jasmine, Alyssa, Indy, and even Terrence have all been like, we're not sure what to do. We might be the swing votes. Let's try and get our heads together and figure this out. They've talked amongst each other, which has bonded them together as they're making this decision. And they've decided, you know what? We want to keep Nicole. And now finally, once they've made that decision, the leftovers are like, okay, we've waited long enough. Now is the time to convince them to jump on board. And it's like, you waited so long. You made it so much more difficult for yourself.
And I can understand the appeal of wanting to wait because you don't want to give Nicole and Daniel time to scramble. You don't want to have them potentially be upset with you all week. It's easier just to kind of lie or say you don't know what's happening for a long time. But it does put Terrence and Indy and Alyssa and Jasmine very aware of their position. And it also is going to make Nicole and Daniel much more aware of what happened this week once everything comes out today. So I feel like it will be an interesting study to go through, like when you have two sides of the house and when this move has been made in the past in other seasons of Big Brother, what ends up working better in the long run? Is it to just sort of get everyone on board early on, or is it to wait until the last minute and do, try to pull off more of a blindside with the people you're actually going against? I think the thing that complicates this the most is the fact that it's so the Daniel Nicole had such a big role in getting Nicole into this situation and having her on the block that it's also just like adds that element of humiliation to what was previously just old-fashioned blindsiding. Like, oh no, they put themselves up here and it didn't need to happen this way. But we'll talk more about Daniel and Nicole towards the end of the night once they have their realization. Yeah, I don't know if they should have come in from the start. I think at the very least, if they had not run with the like, it's always been Taylor, I've never heard of a flip, which is kind of the Michael and Kyle standby throughout the whole week. If instead they had started by talking to Alyssa and Jasmine and been like, maybe we should really think hard this week and compare all options and think about both directions and really not come up with the decision for a little while. Maybe just like say that at the beginning of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I think even just like, honestly, I'm looking at the two of them. Nicole seems like the stronger player. I mean, kind of feeling like maybe we should go in that direction. Just so that they don't feel like, okay, nobody's giving us a decision. We need to decide. And then they decide against what you want. And now it's going to be more difficult. And Kyle has been trying to tell Monty and Joseph, like, they're not with you. Because the thing about Monty and Joseph is that they feel like the reason why they felt comfortable waiting is that when Jasmine and Indy and Terrence are up in the room talking with them, they feel like, yeah, because they're giving them, whatever you guys want. We want to be on the right side of the house. We are totally with you. They're pitching alliances. And Monty and Joseph, even like Daniel and Nicole are pitching like this total state of ignorance. Like, Monty, like you're still taking Taylor out, right? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, okay, great. And he thinks that they believe him. And meanwhile, they're going to Kyle like, they're all together. We need to do this. We need to band together. And so Kyle's trying to tell Monty and Joseph, he's trying to tell the whole alliance, like, they are lying to you. He's like, because Monty and Joseph keep being like, nah, they're totally in the dark here. We've got these votes over here. And Kyle's like, no, they are telling me that they think you're running the house. They are lying to you. But they're not really buying it at this point. And so that's kind of the dilemma that we're in throughout most of the day here. We do have more progress, though, on what I talked about yesterday, which was something that I've already referenced today, that conversation between Michael and Brittany, which was referring to a conversation between Kyle and Michael, where Kyle pitched to Michael that the leftovers are not going to get to 7. And what they don't want to do is leave Jasmine, Indy, and Terrence in the house to work with Monty and Joseph when they could be pulling in people like Alyssa or maybe even Daniel, although Daniel's going to do his best to try and, not go in that direction today. So kind of essentially pitched, hey, why don't we try and pull in Alyssa and work with Alyssa? Maybe even, pull in Turner, maybe use Daniel. There's something we can do here to weaken Monty and Joseph to put us in a better position moving forward once we hit jury, once we, start to, look at options other than the leftovers at the final 7. Michael told Brittany about this, who was super on board. They don't want to go to the end with Monty and Joseph. They are too physically fit to bring to the end game. So Michael is actually going to have a conversation with Alyssa in the day, just kind of like laying the groundwork for this, talking some game, talking about their relationship. Michael even says at one point, like, remember Pose Pack? Wouldn't it be great if we could like get the band back together minus a couple people? And Alyssa's like, yes, I would love that. And so they talk about working together. She says, I promise I will never put you or Brittany up. Again, the groundwork here has been laid.
So where I see this going, because there's been a lot of conversation about like, oh, the leftovers, it's going to explode, it's going to die. Yeah, probably. That's what generally happens in Big Brother. But I do think the people in the leftovers, for the most part, are going to be the ones with power in whatever alliances they form. They're probably going to split into multiple factions, grab the outside pieces. But unfortunately, I don't see a whole lot of ways. There are definitely some, but there's not a whole lot of ways that I see people like Indy, Alyssa, Jasmine, and Terrence and Daniel gaining power over whatever alliance that they are in. Like, I think there are always going to be numbers in those alliances, and maybe even people who get, taken to final two, but I don't see how they are going to be like the people running their alliance. I don't even think that it's out of the question that one of them could win the game. I think they could, depending on who they end up with and who's on the jury and how this all goes. But I think for the most part, we're going to see that like Michael and Kyle, and to some extent Brittany, and whatever faction they're in, they're going to be sort of the vocal force of steering their alliance in the direction they want it to go. And then same with like Monty and Joseph on the other side. Is that kind of how you see things going as well?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the plan, right? Is just they're just actively prepping for, getting down to the numbers so as to not just allow Monty and Joseph to run through. I said it before. I really feel like what happened at the end of last season has had a huge impact this season. First with the women feeling like we're not going to just let the guys roll to the end like what happened last season. And now with Michael and Kyle, like, yeah, we're not just going to let the big physical dudes crush us in these end game comps. Like, we're going to have to do something about it. And with Monty and Joseph in particular, really just like very vocal about how I've got Indy, I've got Terrence, don't worry about it. It's like, okay, well, that's concerning to me, that we're going to be taking out our people. Your people are going to stay in. If you're saying that they're your people. Now, given the events of the night, that may end up changing, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know at what point you want to talk about the Nicole and Monty conversation as well. I know that was kind of earlier. It feeds into some things later. Yeah, it's at one point earlier on in the morning, Michael is talking to Nicole when she's campaigning to him, and he's like, so what would Monty do in the event of a tie? Because you seem to think that there's a possibility it could be a 5-5 vote. So what would happen there? And Nicole's like, oh yeah, I haven't even talked to Monty yet. I think I might have shot myself in the foot with him by ignoring his advice and by Daniel using the veto. And Michael's like, well, you might want to check that because that's like a definite possibility, it seems like. So Nicole talks to Monty, and mostly I think this conversation is important just because she's going to use a lot of the information from this conversation, and so is Monty, in later campaigns. So I thought that was kind of interesting. She asks, and he's like, yeah, I think I haven't even thought of it being a tie either. What? Everybody's voting out Taylor. But yeah, I feel like if it is going to be a split vote, then I'll probably vote for you and keep you around. And she's like, thanks. I'm so glad you have my best interests at heart here. For you tried to warn me not to go up. And he's like, what? You think it could possibly be a split vote? Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah, basically ever since Monty told Nicole and Daniel don't use the veto, there hasn't been a single conversation between them, and which has made it very clear to both sides that like something is off. And you're right. Like, this is basically like a seed conversation that Monty's going to use later to when he talks to people, saying, "Hey, Nicole lied to me in this conversation." Nicole is going to say, "Look, this confirmed to me that Monty is running this game," and so on and so forth. It's messy, and so this is what Monty does, right? He's going to go to Terrence and finally broach the topic to Terrence. Hey, I'm kind of feeling like if it does come down to a split vote, that I'm kind of starting to want Nicole out next. She lied to me in the conversation I had with her earlier. I'm feeling like she might come for me. A lot of the same lines being used from Monty are like, Taylor's by herself. Nicole is with somebody else. So even if Taylor's still after me, at least I'm taking out, one of two people that are after me versus just one person that's after me, and all kinds of stuff like that. And he, Terrence is, as always, very much just willing to sort of play along. Like, yeah, I'm with you. I'll vote with you. Monty says, just don't tell Daniel and Nicole. That's my one ask. And now we know that Terrence has said to the cameras he actually would prefer for Nicole to stay. But he is still very much at this point like, oh yeah, totally with you, Monty. Don't worry about it.
It's so frustrating watching Terrence because he tells anyone in any conversation exactly what he thinks they want to hear. He goes along with them. And it seems like either no one cares that he changes his tune. Like he will literally talk with Joseph and be like, yeah, Taylor's going, of course, blah, 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 blah. And then he'll have a conversation with Monty and Joseph and be like, yeah, Nicole, of course, 100%. And it's like Joseph was in both those conversations, but I guess he just doesn't care that Terrence has changed his tune. I think everyone either just hopes that they're going to sort of get Terrence to make that final decision, like whichever one he says last. I can't understand from Terrence's point of view, like how he thinks, like, yes, this gameplay is keeping him around, but I don't understand how he thinks that gameplay would ever be a winning gameplay. To just like, you have no actual sway, and also no one thinks they have actual sway with you, because when it comes down to it, you're just going to keep telling everyone exactly what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I talked about on the roundtable. It just like he doesn't actually stand for anything, and I felt like he needs to like plant his roots down. And so then later tonight, I was kind of like, oh, Terrence, not those roots. So Monty's gonna tell Jasmine as well. He's gonna vote out Nicole if it's a tie. She's been lying to him. She's part of a duo, and Taylor's alone. Please don't tell Nicole and Daniel. Jasmine also very much like, oh, thank you so much for telling me. So I'm not on the wrong side of the vote. I'm so glad to be like a part of it this time. Jasmine very, very much so doesn't want to be on the wrong side of the vote. And so she's like, oh yeah, I'm totally down. Oh, I would have hated if Taylor left. I actually love Taylor actually, and she's my best friend. And I hate Nicole and I want her to go. Totally, definitely, completely with you on this, Monty. And then she runs, goes downstairs and immediately tells Alyssa and Indy, oh my God, I think Nicole is leaving. And Indy's like, what? No. And Jasmine's like, yeah, I don't know what to do because I want to be on the right side of this vote, but obviously we want Taylor out. Maybe we can still vote Taylor out, and then we can just like lie about it if it doesn't work out. And Alyssa's like, I can't lie. Are you kidding? I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, I love that. And Jasmine's like, it's Big Brother. You need to learn
We're
to
playing
lie.
the game.
We're playing Big Brother. I love that. There were a couple things before this that I thought were really funny. Just like throughout the day, Nicole keeps telling everyone like, oh yeah, they're gonna try to flip the vote tomorrow. Just wait, you see. They're gonna try to flip the vote tomorrow. It's like they're flipping the vote now, Nicole. It's happening now. It's not tomorrow. And then also Turner's conversation with Jasmine before her talk with Monty also like really kind of starts to prep her for that as well, because Turner, his relationship with Jasmine might be my favorite to watch on the show. Just the way he talks to her is funny. But he tells her like, yeah, I've heard that Nicole said she might put me on the block, because Nicole did tell him that I might put you on the block. I'm not going to vote you out, but I might put you on the block. It's like, Nicole, don't even let those words out there. Even if you're trying to like plant traps or whatever, you never want to tell people anything that could work against you. If you're going to try and plant seeds, make it something that's not going to be bad for you if it comes out. So Jasmine was already a little predisposed to start believing that this flip might happen because other people have been hinting at it. But yeah, the conversation is funny. I think the other thing about this conversation is Indy is like very much, no, I'm just going to be, even if I'm the only vote with Daniel, I'm happy to vote to keep Nicole here. I'm going to die on that hill. Like, I like Nicole. I hate Taylor. Indy really, really hates Taylor. So she wants to be a part of that. Remember that Indy is the one that is like for Nicole. She, even if she's on the wrong side of the vote, Indy cares the least about like being on the wrong side of the house. Like Jasmine and Alyssa are very, very much like, no, we cannot be bamboozled again, which I think is such an interesting study of like, even if you know that you don't have any sway or power, even if you know that other people are just telling you this is the way the vote's going, you somehow trick yourself into believing that like, if as long as you vote with those numbers, that you're still good with everyone. It's like, if you got in a position where you weren't able to vote the way you wanted to, then you've already lost the power that you could have had for this vote in the first place.
Yes. Well, they're freaking out. Jasmine, Indy, Alyssa. Indy's like, well, no, we can't let Taylor stay. Brittany ends up coming in, and they're like, Brittany, what's going on? Is Nicole gonna stay? Is Nicole gonna go? And Brittany's like, I don't know. We kind of feel like maybe she should go. And they're trying to convince Brittany that Nicole needs to go. And Brittany's like, sorry about it. And Indy's like, no, Taylor has to go. This is gonna win the game. You gotta take the out of here. Alyssa's like, dude, chill.
Yeah. I think Indy didn't get the memo that people were at least pretending that they had never been mean to Taylor. And that they weren't still being mean. I don't know. I don't know what Taylor has ever done to Indy. I mean, nothing, probably. I don't know. It's
absolutely nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. I don't know. They just don't like her. So I like Brittany coming in here because Brittany also kind of says like, yeah, like I'm getting a feeling. Everyone kind of starts saying like, I'm getting a feeling the votes might not be in that direction, but no one ever like points back to like where that stemmed from because they're all just collectively doing it at the same time. I kind of like this move of just like, yeah, if it's just sort of happening in the ether, then like there's nothing we can do about it. This is just the way it is. Oh no, don't bother trying to hunt for who the votes aren't. It's like, oh well, we're all just sort of going with the house. Brittany does tell them to talk with Michael also because he seems like he might be on board with this flip. It just seems like that's the way things are going.
Yes. So Indy is gonna run off to Nicole, and she's crying. Nicole, what's wrong? I'm worried that you're gonna go home. They're trying to flip the votes on you. Nicole's like, oh, don't worry. I knew this was coming.
Nicole's like, don't worry. They're gonna flip the votes tomorrow. It's fine. You're probably just being paranoid tonight.
Yeah. So Nicole goes and talks to Daniel and Terrence, and she's like, Indy just tried to tell me they're flipping the votes. She said, don't talk to anyone but your six. And they're like, well, the only way the votes have actually flipped is if Kyle has flipped. As long as we have Kyle, we're fine. So hopefully we're all good. Now, in the meantime, Kyle's going to talk to Alyssa. And he lets her know, look, we're voting out Nicole. That's the way that's the direction that I would like to go. Now, remember, Alyssa was just involved in that previous conversation. And in that conversation with Jasmine and Indy, they were wondering, where does Kyle stand in all of this? Is he with them? Is he going to vote them out? And Alyssa was like, I don't think they tell him things. I think that he probably just finds out things late. She's trying to back him up as much as possible. And when talking to Kyle, she's like, sure, I'm down. Let's vote out Nicole. I'm in. And Kyle's like, do you think they're going to be like mad at me because I'm like flipping or whatever? She's like, don't worry. I can help deflect the blame off of you with Jasmine and Indy. Like I've got you. She tells him about the fact that they're talking about this, like, oh, they think that there's a big alliance that Monty is helming. And he's like, okay. And she tells him about her conversation with Michael earlier in the day and how she feels really good about it. And she thinks that hopefully like they can do something there. He says that's a great idea. He thinks that they could absolutely make something work with Michael and Brittany and Turner. And there's a really good direction for their game to go there.
Yeah, something interesting about that direction is, I think it was the previous night, Nicole had a conversation with Kyle where she said, like, the larger group is going to be intimidated by you and Alyssa being a pair and a showmance in the same way that they're intimidated by me and Daniel being a pair. And that because of that, the four of us need to stick together. And I think that Kyle probably also looked at that and said, yeah, you know what? That's right. I need to find another pair to have me and Alyssa go with. I'm just not going to pick you. I'm going to pick Michael and Brittany. But thanks for that idea. I mean, it was probably already out there because everyone's kind of paired up. People pair up Monty and Joseph as well. But yeah, I like this group. Do you feel like this could be the winning group? Like, I'm surprised that people aren't trying to. Besides Michael and Brittany, I'm surprised that both sides haven't tried to nail down Taylor nearly as much as they could, which makes me a little worried for her.
I think Michael and Brittany will work on pulling Taylor into this.
But do you think that Alyssa is ever going to be like fully on board with that? Or do you think they're going to just keep the sort of two groups separate?
I think Alyssa would be on board with it. I think that, I think that Alyssa is willing to go in any direction that Kyle points at this point. She doesn't really have super huge ties to Jasmine or Indy, even though she's still like kind of with them. She's like kind of also annoyed with them. She's very much with Kyle. And I think she would absolutely be willing to take any big group that would be willing to take her. I personally think that this is going to be the new power in the game moving forward. If it is not stopped next week, then this is going to be what, or maybe like somebody wins HOH outside of the group the following week. Like basically next 2 weeks, if they are not stopped within the next 2 weeks, I think this is the new power in the game for at least to bring us to like probably close to end game. If they are not stopped or if something doesn't happen to break them up, this is definitely, I think where the game might go.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's kind of where it's going. So the other thing about the Nicole and Indy conversation that I found very humorous was the fact that Nicole was just kept saying, and then she's going to tell Daniel and Terrence afterward, like, oh, Indy is so paranoid and so emotional. She needs to lock that up. I can't trust her because of how emotional she is. Like, she's the one person you can trust actually in this scenario. And Indy tells Nicole, like, it was a really big mistake what you told Turner about potentially wanting to put him up as a pawn, because that information has gotten around and now people are worried about it. And Nicole's like, well, yeah, I hoped that information would get around. I hope it would get back to Jasmine. But that plan of those planting seeds only works if you inform all parties on your side ahead of time that you're doing it. You needed to have first told Jasmine and Indy, like, hey, I'm going to go tell this thing. It's a lie. I'm going to go tell it to Turner, and then we'll find out whether or not he leaks it to you against me. It's like, you can't just drop hints and then walk away and wait for them to blow up in your face.
Oh, we'll watch that happen. So Kyle goes to Michael and says, hey, just talked to Alyssa. She told me she talked to you today and that she felt great about it. I vouched for you after that. I think we can really make this work. I think this is a great direction for us to go. Michael says, I completely agree. The only reason I even pushed to have her leave this week was because of the whole bestie twist, but I absolutely think we're going to need Alyssa moving forward. And so they are, again, continuing to talk about this and, trying to lock in exactly what this is going to be. So it's looking pretty good. Daniel is then going to talk to Kyle. I'm concerned about the vote, Kyle. And Kyle's like, what? Why would you be concerned? I don't know, man. Like, you just keep talking to me about, like, you know, Monty and Joseph, but like, I haven't heard anything. You know, I've only heard things from you. I don't think anybody's trying to flip the vote. And so, like, obviously at this point, like, this is a bridge too far. Kyle cannot continue to say he hasn't heard anything. Like, he hasn't been filled in that, like, the plan has started. People are talking. You can't say you haven't heard anything now. It's very blatantly obvious now that Kyle is lying. And Daniel is going to run to Nicole. Oh my God, Kyle is lying to me. Nicole, I think you're going to leave tomorrow night.
Oh my gosh. It's so frustrating. This conversation, it's really funny. There's a lot of clips of it out there about the realization, the talk. There's there's a moment where Nicole says, like, well, if Kyle wasn't with us to begin with, we never had the votes to stay anyway. By golly, they finally got it.
Yeah.
Am I stupid?
I mean, you're not stupid. And Daniel realizes that if Nicole goes, he's gonna be next. This game. It'll be a boring steamroll of a season.
I'm never gonna watch this show again.
Yeah. If you were hoping that Nicole would come home and realize the error of her ways, she's already said she's not watching Feeds or Big Brother ever again. So,
yeah, what a dumb cast.
Yep, they're playing against a bunch of losers,
clowns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alyssa walks by at one point because Daniel and Nicole are like laying on Alyssa's bed while this is happening. And so Alyssa kind of walks by and leaves, and Daniel's like, or Nicole says, I think there's an alliance of 8. I can't trust anyone. Good. I'm glad that you're creating this alliance of 8, making it a lot easier for Alyssa and Jasmine to just go over to that other side.
Yeah. They cry together. They end up talking with Terrence eventually. And he's like, no, guys, you need to fight. You can do it. There's still a way. And so they talk some more, and Nicole comes up with a plan. It's like, okay, hold on. I've got this. Right? So she goes to the bathroom. Everyone's hanging out in the bathroom. And she's Indy. Indy's like, what? Come here. Pulls her over into the kitchen. Indy's like, not in front of the cameras. I want Monty's gonna see us. And she's like, Indy, I don't have the votes to stay. What? If you don't want her on your team, you'd better do everything in your power to get those votes back. Like, well, I never said I wouldn't vote for you. I know you didn't, but I don't have the votes to stay. That's all. I'm going home tomorrow.
Okay, well, we got to wait for Terrence
to come
back.
And she just walks away.
Put his headphones in. There we go. Yeah. So make sure that here's the plan. Find the one person in your alliance who you... Oh, sorry. Keep going.
She's going to explain it. She walks back to Daniel and Terrence. And this is her face. This is how she says it. Just did it. Just dropped the seeds. So I pulled Indy, and she was like, "Oh, not in front of the cameras." And I said, "I don't have the votes to stay." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, exactly. So if you don't want her on your team, you'd better do something about this." And then I walked away, and now I'm just gonna let things marinate, right? Let her blow up, because that's not my style. That's not what I would do. I'm just gonna let her do her work. She's gonna blow up, and everything's gonna go wild. And Daniel's like, oh, maybe we'll hear it from the bedroom. And so they're like, oh, let's open the door. Let's listen for the blow up.
Crickets.
Yeah, Indy doesn't say anything yet.
No. But yeah, so just so that everyone's on the same page here. The plan was take the one person outside of Daniel who is assured you and assured other people that no matter what way the house is going, they're voting to keep Nicole. The person that Nicole has already decided is a little bit paranoid and emotional and may, I don't know, be upset that you're calling them out. Drop a bomb on them. And I guess the idea was Indy will get mad at everyone else and try to stir things up so things go wild and maybe she gets some votes. In reality, what happens, which I'm sure Taran's about to talk about, Indy's just upset that she was called out when she was the one person still on Nicole's side. And so all that does is make her more predisposed to not vote for Nicole to stay.
Yeah.
Oh, this plan works so well.
So Indy goes to Joseph and Monty, and she's like, what the hell? Nicole just pulled me into the room and was like, I don't even have the votes to stay. And I was like, I never said that. And she was like, do something about it. And I was just like, I don't know why she basically screamed at me. I don't know what's happening. And they're like, wow, man, this is just like Pooch all over again. Yeah. It's Pooch all over again. And Joseph is like, wow, now, Indy, now you really need to vote with the house now and just vote her out. Don't you think? Like, we just need to put as big a target on Daniel and anybody else that votes for Nicole to stay as possible. She's like, yes, I will. I at this point, like, what is she doing? And it's like, oh, wow. Like, Nicole just managed to potentially remove one of her 2 votes.
If Nicole leaves the house and talks to Julie and says, yeah, the person who just really lost my trust was Indy. Like, it was probably Indy who led this whole thing. If that happens, and to be clear, they have realized at this point, they probably don't have the votes to stay. Which, if we remember, before the veto was used, Monty told Daniel Nicole probably doesn't have the votes to stay. So in order to protect her, we need to not put her up. Now, Daniel and Nicole are going to admit, like, they didn't want to lose a vote, a person on their side in Alyssa or Indy, which is true. But self-preservation should be your number one priority, probably. Like, it's hard because some people might argue, well, if they're going to lose the votes, then they might as well throw the Hail Mary of like trying to get Taylor out, because that would be really good. That would be a win-win. But the risk is so high in that scenario, especially when the house is telling you that you don't have the votes to stay and you're going to actively put yourself on the block. So I can understand maybe throwing a move like this if you're playing, I don't know, a low stakes online reality game where it doesn't really matter. But in this case, it matters so much that you might be here next week to try and rally the troops and create new troops. You're going to have to sacrifice one of Alyssa or Indy in that scenario.
Yeah. So while this is happening, also, Terrence has gone to Joseph, and he has finally decided he is going to plant some roots. He's going to take a stand against Taylor. And he tries to convince Joseph that he needs to vote Taylor out.
And this is after Terrence has been in the conversation with Nicole and Daniel where they said they probably don't have the votes to stay. Just so we're clear on that.
He wants to fight. He's been straddling the line. He's been straddling the fence all week long, waiting to choose the winner. And as soon as he discovered that Nicole is definitely the loser, he's like, okay, but we can change that. No, you can't.
No, you can't, Terrence. Not only can you not now, you never could have.
Yeah. So he's gonna make a pitch to Joseph to try and convince Joseph to take Taylor out. He's like, she's gonna go from the block to the penthouse. She's gotta go. So by the time Indy talks with Joseph and Monty, about how Nicole knows she doesn't have the votes, they immediately, as soon as Indy leaves, they're like, Terrence! He ratted us out. Wow. Terrence of all people. We thought Jasmine might. We thought Indy might. We did not think that Terrence would be the one to do this. We thought Alyssa might do it. Why Terrence? Why is he doing this? He's been talking to us all week long about how frustrated he is with these people. And that now he's staying loyal to them. Oh, it's so disappointing. And now, like, we know, like, even now that Nicole's going to leave, he's going to just stick to Daniel, right? Like, we just can't trust him. I mean, we're not going to target him, but like, geez.
And it's like, Terrence is proving to you that even when he knows the votes aren't there, he's going to be on the wrong side. So you can't even argue like, oh, well, once Nicole leaves, Terrence will realize that he needs to be with us. No, probably not. He'll probably just be with Daniel, like they're saying. What is Terrence doing? What is the idea here? Like, I will always approve of people in the game fighting to keep someone who's better for them to stay. Like, I appreciate that Terrence and Daniel and Nicole are fighting to stay. They're just not doing it very well.
Yeah, it's kind of one of these.
I mean, they're lost.
Yeah.
Terrence's loss, I guess. Not that he was in a great spot before this, but this certainly does not help his case, because the fact that he's now been identified as the rat is just going to give Michael and Kyle the exact ammunition that they need to say, hey, we're not going to take out Alyssa. We're going to take out Terrence. Why Terrence? He's not a threat, but he is a rat.
And the funny thing is, Terrence wasn't even the rat really in this scenario.
He wasn't. They scoped Kyle out.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So they talk some more about what to do. They'll never be able to get Terrence's loyalty while Daniel is still in the house. Monty says that he thinks Alyssa, Jasmine, and Indy are splitting up a bit as well, because he's noticed some tension between the three of them, which is exactly what Kyle's been saying. And he's like, you know what? I think Kyle was right when he was telling us that they were a lot more onto us than we thought. He's like, yeah. And they talk about Alyssa, and Monty's point of view is that like, oh, it's so funny because Daniel and Nicole are just like, oh, Kyle and Alyssa both just want to like get to juries where they can make out all the time. And he's like, Kyle clearly is not about that. And Joseph's like, no, Alyssa isn't either. She's the most dangerous player in the house. And Monty's like, no, I think she does just kind of want to make out with Kyle, actually.
Yeah. Earlier, when Kyle and Alyssa had been talking, one of the points made that I could not tell if was 100% a joke or at all strategy, it was when Kyle was saying like, yeah, we got to get all the other girls out of your room. Just vote them out so that we can have that room to ourselves. It's like, maybe that was partially trying to gear Alyssa up for that, but I think mostly they're just a little bit wanting to get together. And look,
He's
I get
very
it.
much just testing the waters, like how does she respond to a joke like that? Because it is serious in a way that is not explicit. Like, yes, he wants them out so that he can have Alyssa to himself, not just to make out with her, but also strategically.
Right. And I get it. Like, you know, I went to beach week, and I know how hard it is to try and find some space that you can go alone at night. I get that. But come on. Like, not with the not where there's cameras around.
Oh boy. So Indy's gonna go and talk to Jasmine, and she lets Jasmine know. It's Nicole. She pulled me aside. She said she doesn't have the votes, and Jasmine's like, we cannot be on the wrong side of the house. And so they go and they talk with Daniel and Terrence. And Jasmine's like, I'm just confused. Why aren't the votes here to save Nicole? And Daniel says, it's because I talked to Kyle and I know he's lying. And Jasmine's like, what? Well, what about Michael and Brittany? They said they were voting Taylor out. And Terrence is like, they're lying to you. They're lying. And Terrence says, and now Taylor, what she's gonna do is she's gonna join the two of you, sitting comfortable as, and she will never go home. She'll never go home. And Daniel is like, just give Monty the check at this point. Oh my God. It's ridiculous.
So week 4 and Monty's already won the game, just like how Paloma had already won it in week 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this also makes Jasmine even more like telling Indy like, oh, okay, well, we really can't go against the house then if this is the scenario.
Yeah, it's very much one of those things where it's like you're like, yeah, we're all fighting the good fight in this house. We're trying to take Taylor out, and then you sort of look behind you, and instead of an army, you've got Terrence and Daniel, just like whoa, what are we doing? Oh my God! You're like, oh, yeah, I don't know them. Actually, I don't know how they got there.
Yeah. It's funny how at the beginning of the day, Nicole had a pretty solid 5 votes. And then at one point in the day, she was down to 2, Daniel and Indy. And then at some point, she swapped out Indy for Terrence. We still only got 2, though.
Yeah. So Joseph and Monty are going to fill Taylor in on what's happening. Joseph tells Taylor, like, yeah, we don't have Terrence. He ratted us out. He was trying to convince me to vote you out. He said you're going to go from the block to the penthouse. And he also pretty much just gave away his alliance with Daniel and Nicole. And yeah, I mean, Kyle was right when he told us they were onto us. So, and Taylor's like, man, oh well. We can still got the votes. It's still good. Everything's fine. Taylor, by the way, while all of this is happening, is just like practicing her speech and trying on her eviction dress, like practicing like how she can sit in the right position on the chair, just chilling.
Yeah, I was liking the part in the day when Taylor is talking with Alyssa and they're trying to strategize how Taylor can sit. And I just anytime when Taylor and Alyssa are together, I'm like, come on, can't you guys want to be friends? You guys want to? I don't know. I want Taylor to be really integrated. Like my favorite later in the night when she's hanging out with Joseph and Turner. That's like my favorite feeds to watch. It's just them kind of chilling and having fun.
Mm-hmm. So, bad news for Taylor, who has always thought that she's had a decent relationship with Terrence, but what are you gonna do?
But great that she knows,
yes.
Right? Like I think that's really great. I also liked in this conversation, it's like Taylor has a pretty good relationship with Joseph, and she mentions at one point to, I think it was Brittany, that Brittany and Michael and Joseph are the people she trusts the most.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of feel like Turner got a little shafted there, considering all that he's done for Taylor. But okay, but I like the fact that in this conversation with Monty and Taylor and Joseph, like I don't know that Monty would have told Taylor all of this just sort of on his own, but I think Joseph was definitely like, got to inform Taylor about how Turner these names. There's too many T names about how Terrence is against her.
Yeah. So that's kind of like where we're at for the most part here. Jasmine's going to talk with them again. Again, promise like, hey, I'm totally down for things. I think we can expect the vote to be something like 8-2 or 9-1. I do think Jasmine and Alyssa will definitely jump over. Terrence, I think we're not sure. Indy still maybe not, maybe at most probably 7-3. But I imagine that if both Jasmine and Alyssa jump over, that Indy will follow now because of the call out from Nicole. But we still may see some drama with this through the day today leading up to the eviction. And I'm still excited for hopefully what Taylor has in store for Nicole in her speech and everything. But the night is not over, because hopefully over the course of the last 55 minutes, you have been able to get your muffins ready. Because Jasmine and Turner, some tension has been brewing between the two of them. Ever since they became besties and Turner was HOH and he blindsided Jasmine, and Jasmine thought that she was playing Turner because like she thought that he was an idiot. And then they both kind of came to the realization that they were trying to play each other. And then they became have-nots together. And neither of them are showering. And they're both kind of just like pointing the finger at the other one. Jasmine's annoyed at Turner for not showering. And he's annoyed at her for constantly having him make her food. And, you know, taking his food. And he's kind of done with it. And so Nicole's going to make them some muffins for when the have-nots end here tonight. And she makes some muffins for Turner. She makes some muffins for Jasmine. But Turner decided that he wanted to have a little bit of fun with Jasmine's muffins. And so he cut one in half and he ate it. He ate one of Jasmine's muffins. And Jasmine, upon discovering said half-eaten muffin, grabs the little plastic bag with one full muffin and one half muffin and starts. And she, by the way, has been walking now. She's got her boot on and she's walking, but it's like very limpy. But she was like, wow, I can actually walk if I try to walk. This is amazing.
Yeah. She was very shocked to find out that when you actually use your leg and you don't
use
just
your
have
feet.
it. Yeah, when you actually don't have it just hanging off a scooter, that the swelling goes down and it starts to get stronger and it's actually more able. Basically, when the medical professionals tell you you can start walking, turns out you can actually start walking. Isn't that shocking?
Yes. So she's kind of like walking around holding the bag of one muffin and one half muffin. And she's questioning everyone. Did you eat my muffins? Who ate my muffins? This is not funny. Who ate my muffins? And Turner's like, "What? Not me. Not me. I didn't touch them." And Taylor's like, I'm not involved in this. Like, I don't know what's going on. She goes upstairs to Monty and Joseph. She's like, you two are the last two. Did you eat my muffins? And Joseph's like, no, I had nothing to do with it. Why would I eat your muffins? That's so out of pocket. Who would eat your muffins?
If I was going to eat your muffin, I would just eat the whole thing. You know me. Not eating half a muffin.
I would have eaten the whole muffin. I get that you. I feel like you think it's me because I eat a lot, but I would not have done that. And Monty just keeps going like, yeah, who would have done that? That's so out of pocket. She's like, okay, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out who ate my muffin.
Have you ever been so concerned over? It's not like she's still a have-not and this was the only food she could get. She could go make more muffins. She could go eat something else. Turner's also going to say that he only got one muffin, but she got two. So I think he was like saying that if he...
I mean, look,
cut it in half. I don't know.
Like many things with Jasmine, like very fun to talk about how ridiculous this situation is. But I'm just going to say this. Even though I am, of course, Team Turner in this situation, I fully empathize with if somebody ate my muffin, I would be very upset.
Okay. In the real world, if I had some food, because this happens a lot, and my dad will eat stuff and then he pulls this, which is my least favorite. Well, I didn't know they were yours, but you knew they weren't yours, Dad.
Yes! Why would you eat my muffins?
Why did you eat I have one of those like giant circular lollipops, and he ate it. And I'm like, you knew that wasn't your giant circular lollipop. That was mine. Why are you eating my special treat? But as Jasmine told Alyssa earlier, this is Big Brother and this is a game. And I cannot imagine in a game where social relationships are important and anything can be used against you, you would go around accusing everyone and trying to figure out who ate half a muffin.
Well, yes.
Who cares?
And that's the main difference between me and Jasmine is that real world or Big Brother world, if somebody eats my muffin, I'm not going to walk around with half of my muffin going, did you eat this? Was this you? I'm just going to like quietly sulk to myself like, my muffin's gone. What am I going to do? Now I have to get a new muffin.
I wish that everyone in the house had, instead of saying no, just all agreed collectively they were all going to say yes. And just
I ate the muffin. No.
No.
I ate the muffin. So Jasmine has come up with a new method to figure out who ate her muffin because she's sick and tired of this. Everyone is denying it. So she goes back downstairs. She's saying, you know what? You'd better own up to it now because I'm going into the diary room and I'm going to ask them who ate my muffin. I'm going to ask them who did it. So you'd better tell me now. So because I'm going to find out.
Wait, what game does she think the diary room's not going to tell her that? Because what if this was some sort of strategic reason for eating the muffin?
Well, she goes into the diary room to find out who ate her muffin. And in the meantime, Turner and Taylor are talking. And Taylor's like, I think Jasmine, I don't know that Jasmine's gonna vote with us. I think she's lying to Monty and Joseph. I think she's playing us. And Turner's like, yeah, that's why I ate her muffin. And Taylor's like, and so then Joseph comes storming down and he comes storming into the bathroom. He's like, Turner, you have to admit that you ate the muffin. And she was like, no. He's like, she thinks it's me. I'm getting in trouble for this. Turner, you have to tell her. And he's like, no, I'm not going to tell her, dude. I'm not going to do that. And he's like, come on, you have to. He's like, I'm going to get in trouble for this. He's like, she doesn't know it's you. She doesn't know who it is. And so then they play a little game to figure out, okay, let's play a game. We'll figure out if I win, we don't tell her. If you win, I'll tell her. They play the game. Turner wins. It's like, oh, all right, fine. But we're playing again in 24. We're playing every 24 hours. And as soon as I win, we're telling Jasmine who ate the muffin. And because Joseph is also like, she's going into the diary room now to find out who did it. So you'd better just own up to it. And he's like, they're not going to tell her. So she comes out of the diary room. She's like, they wouldn't tell me.
Obviously.
So they wouldn't tell me. And so Joseph then later goes back to Turner. And he's like, yeah, they wouldn't tell her who ate the muffin. So she said she was gonna leave it out. And if anybody ate her muffin again, then she would know that people are after her. That it wasn't just somebody eating a muffin, that it was specifically targeted toward Jasmine. So Turner, you have to eat more of the muffin. Turner's like, I do. So Jasmine sets the muffin down on the kitchen table. They all go to bed, and late in the night, Turner sneaks out into the kitchen, pulls out a fork, walks over to the half muffin and the whole muffin. He opens the bag. He takes half of the half muffin, gets it on his fork. It's like, is this enough? Yeah, okay, it totally is. All right, I'm coming to the diary room. I have so much to say right now. And he brings the half of the half muffin into the diary room.
I love the awareness that he knows this is going to be a moment and that he needs to go to the diary room and talk about it.
Oh, man. So the Muffin Man story is not complete because we still have to see what Jasmine's reaction is to coming out and finding that her whole muffin is still intact, but that half of her half muffin has been taken.
I hope they just
Who would
keep.
do this?
Who would? It's like they don't even want the muffin. It's not about eating the muffin. It's just about messing with her. It's so great. So great.
Oh man. So that's what's going. Yeah, we unfortunately Nicole is not going to be blindsided tonight in the eviction. But Jasmine is going to be blindsided this morning when she finds out that half of her muffin is gone.
Which in some ways is just as good, if not better.
Yep.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
So that was the night here on the Big Brother 24 live feeds. Anything else that we should talk about, Mary?
Oh, not too much. I think the one other funny moment that I liked was when Daniel and Nicole when they were discovering the whole situation that they didn't have the votes. At one point in there, Monty was in the DR and Daniel says like, "That's not a goodbye message. He's been in there forever." That's clearly the DR asking him like, "So how's your plan working out of getting Nicole out?"
Yeah.
I really liked that part. That was fun. That would be a good moment also to edit in. Cut to Monty in the DR being like, "My plan is working perfectly."
Yeah. I'm realizing now. Somebody said he should have taken half of the other muffin. What he should have done is take half of the other muffin and then stick the two halves together.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
I mean, look, I know you just came off slop and any food's probably good. It's just like they didn't look like that good of muffins. They just kind of look like normal little muffins.
Yeah. It reminds me. There's like a little video of like a dad like asking a kid about. It was a very funny video about like a kid trying to stick like food together, and thinking that that's how it worked. But man, the muffin situation. It's still ongoing.
This sort of prank I would take all day, every day over the like jump scares.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is great. This is just some good old fashioned good time pranking.
It's if Turner ever votes Jasmine out, I need him to go into the diary room and say, "Hi, Julie," and Julie says, "All right, Turner, who are you casting your vote to evict?" "Do you know the Muffin Man?"
Okay, what about this? Instead of eating the muffin, could Turner have like hid the half a muffin and then like during a great moment, like during the eviction, just in front of Jasmine, pull the muffin out and start eating it?
The muffin might be gross by that point, but what he should do is
put it in some saran wrap. It'd be fine.
If they vote Jasmine out, give her a hug on the way out, and just whisper in her ear, "I was the one that ate your muffin."
That'd be good.
Oh man.
Good time.
The Reigns of Castamere will play.
Yeah.
So that's what we have for you today on the Big Brother 24 live feed update. I will, of course, be back tomorrow morning to update on everything that happens today and tonight on the Big Brother 24 live feeds, because the eviction will take place tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. I will be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, to watch tonight's episode live with all of you to see what kinds of reactions we will have from Daniel, Nicole, and everyone else who said that they were going to freak out. So we'll see. And then, of course, we will probably have a new HOH at some point tonight. New plans, all that good stuff. So join me tonight during the episode on Twitch while I watch it. And then we'll, of course, be live after the episode to recap it. And then tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to talk about everything that happens on the feeds. I will also be live today to watch last night's challenge episode and to talk about the stock watch. See if the muffins are going to come into play at all. So you can check that out as well. And you can find me over on Twitter at ArmstrongTown. I also dropped a new Among Us video yesterday, a good one. It's don't underestimate me as the imposter. You think you've got me, but then you got to watch to find out. Check it out on YouTube.
My favorite thing to do with your Among Us videos that you drop is to scrub partway through, see if I'm in it, and then watch it. Incredibly narcissistic.
I think you're in. Maybe honestly, I don't remember.
I have to check.
All right, so that's what I've got. Mary, where can people find you?
You can follow me everywhere at Frail Mary. You can check out my Twitter where I've been tweeting about the Big Brother episodes and challenge episodes. Definitely go watch the challenge if you're not already. You can also follow me at I forgot my podcast name at Kowski Cast. How with a K.
At Muffin Cast. What?
At what Muffin Cast? At Kowski Cast, where we have been closing out season 6 of Riverdale. We have the penultimate episode this week and the finale next time. So if you want to, I don't know, come into Riverdale at the end of season 6, then do that.
All right. Well, I'm remembering now. You are in this video for at least one of the games. You play a somewhat prominent role in one of them.
Very exciting. Well, I'll definitely be checking that out.
It's a funny situation. I don't know if this is common for you, but people misinterpreting you is a big event of one of these videos.
No. Yeah, that's never happened before.
All right, so that's what we have for you. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. I hope you enjoyed your muffins. I hope nobody ate any of them other than you. And I'll see you all next time.